Hello, guys. So this is going to be Campfire Chat video number 2. All right. Uh, Again, if you find any of this information informative, and you think some of your friends would get a charge out of it, invite them over, get them to like and subscribe, and thank you for your continued sponsorship. You guys are doing great. This is the reason why I make these videos. So the topic I wanted to cover today uh, came out after having a conversation with a guy at work. I was actually trying to badger him into subscribing. So this is actually his response video. So I hope he subscribed, because here's your answer. So today's topic is introducing new people to camping, or introducing people who camp to your style of camping. All right. Not everyone camps the same. Not everyone has the same gear, has the same outlook, the same everything. So when you get someone who's actually genuinely interested in what you do and wants to start to enjoy your sport, you should do your best to put the sport forward in the most positive light as possible. Okay, uh, and you don't want to bash any of their experience or anything like that. If the only thing they've done is camp in an RV and they finally want to transition to a tent or a backpack or something, you should be enthusiastic for them and give them the best possible experience for their first time. Because let's be honest, a rainstorm in the middle of summer, or a cold snap, or any other miserable experiences that you can think of is what separates you know, the people who want to do advice, the people who don't. So you want to try to at least give them that one positive experience, so that they can draw upon that next time somebody asks them, "Hey, you want to go camping?" And they're all over it, right? Because otherwise, you never know. You may actually have a camping partner for life, which is perfect if you can find one. So the first topic, the first point I want to cover is, you're going to usually have, and before I start, these are all my personal thoughts. This isn't anyone else's stuff. If you guys disagree with my thoughts, that's great. Post a comment below and we can talk about it, and we can have a discussion about it. If you guys like this stuff, awesome. Give me a thumbs up. So, first point we're going to talk about is the two types of campers you normally get, in my personal experience. You have the novice and you have the experienced. Now, the novice is somebody who has never camped before, or camped maybe once or twice. All right. They're also the controlled experience people. And what I mean by controlled experience is, they're the people who were involved with a youth organization and went camping, and everything was provided for them. Their itinerary was planned, the food was planned, the activities were planned, etc., etc., etc. Everyone made sure they had the proper stuff. Uh, or the people who equate camping to spending the summer at the bungalow with mom and dad, or the RV at the campground. Okay, these are the controlled experience. There's nothing wrong with that, but these are the controlled experience people. All right. The next is, you have the experienced. The experienced is usually someone who is capable outside, who's they're most likely an avid outdoorsman. So they're usually into fishing, hunting, orienteering, hiking, ATVing, stuff like that, cross country skiing, whatever, whatever, whatever. So they don't mind spending time out in the woods. They know how to dress. They know how to keep themselves from not dying. Those are the people that you're not really going to have to convince very much. All right. The novice, again, the way I'm looking at this video is, these are the people who are going to come to you and ask you to come camping. All right. So we're assuming here that everyone willingly came to you and wants to go camping in your style. So just some general tips, especially for the novice. This holds true for the experienced person that you're introducing to your style of camping as well. First thing, all right, plan. If they're coming to talk to you and they want you to show them the perfect experience, and you want to introduce them to the perfect experience, plan the trip. All right. It doesn't matter what it looks like, whether it's a campground or your own personal bushcrafting site or even an acceptable area to camp. It doesn't matter. Plan it. Make sure, it's available. Make sure that it's clean. Make sure that it's sufficient. Make sure that it has everything you want it to do. You want to plan the experience so that it's absolutely perfect for their first time. If it's a campground, and let's say you're doing straight up yurt or a campground, provincial park, you're going to want to show up a little bit early, get everything set up for them the first time, get all the wood cut this first time, lay the fire the first time, take care of the meal prep, find out what their favorite meal is and pack that. This way, when they roll in, it's all set up, good to go. You don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is crack a cold one and sit by the fire and shoot the breeze. That gives them the best possible experience right off the hop when there's nothing else to do. Now, if it's multi-day, well, day 2, this is where the next point comes in. Keep it interactive. So, where I just said, so you chop all the firewood, you do all. What I mean by keep it interactive, it sounds like it contradicts itself, but once you're established at camp and everyone's had their cold beverages and their chat by the fire and a good night's sleep, and you need more wood and you need yada yada yada, this is when you start bringing them along with you, and you start showing them stuff. You start talking about your gear. You start talking about tips and tricks. You start including them in everything that's going on around them so that they have a better understanding and they're more immersed in it. Nothing worse than being the person who's standing there staring at someone doing something and you don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it. 3, make it comfortable for them. Now, what I mean by comfortable, this goes around back to the first point. First day, you do everything, have it so that when they show up at camp, everything's good to go. But also make sure they have the required kit. Now, depending on their skill level, they may not have the required kit. So be prepared to provide that stuff for them. Talk about it beforehand. Explain to them what they're at least going to need, the bare minimum. Provide the kit if you have it. Make sure you have all your own kit and everything you need. And although I don't advocate this, because kit's very personal, if you have any deficiencies in your kit, borrow it. Because most people have, if they've been doing it for any amount of time, they have piles of kit that they're not using or they've moved on from, and they'd be more than willing to lend you a tent or a sleeping bag or a pad or an old axe or something. All right? Right along with the interactive, do fun things at camp. Now, I'm looking more along the lines of someone who's never camped before or has very limited camping experience. Do fun things at camp. Bring out a game of cornhole or a horseshoe set or a frisbee or something, or use that opportunity to teach them stuff, like throw a tomahawk or light fires or whatever, right? You don't want to be that person who just sits around camp all day and pounds beers. That gets boring real quick. And that leads me right up to the 4th point. Don't make it boring or oppressive. Remember, you're trying to introduce new people. Don't try to give them so much information that they just shut down, and don't make it so boring that they just lose interest right away. The whole idea here is keep them hooked so that they have a positive experience and they want to come back to it, right? Just like any organization or any hobby or anything like that, the more people we get doing this stuff, the better it's going to be for everyone. So those were some general points, mostly aimed at the novice. All right. Parting shots for this would be the biggest thing with the novice is stay flexible. All right. They're not going to hold fast the date like you will due to work commitments or health commitments, or eventually, or even they may just get cold feet. Because let's be honest, if you're like me and you do pretty much rough camping, it's pretty intimidating to someone who's only ever spent time in a national park to come out here and, pretty much have your entire day occupied by cutting wood, lighting fires, doing this stuff, right? So keep flexible. Worst case scenario, they reschedule. Best case scenario, you have an entire weekend of camping planned and organized for yourself. Cool. So I'll move right along to the experience. The experience is pretty quick. Again, I don't want to keep these videos too long, but I want to get my points across. So the experienced person, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of prodding. Probably not a whole lot of intensive prep on your part. They're probably going to have their own meals planned. They're probably going to have their own equipment. They're probably going to have the basic skills required. It's going to be more along the lines of, hey, you want to go camping? Cool. Now, if it starts into hey, you want to go camping? But can you lend me and how about, are you going to bring? What about? That's where you start to question it. Whether or not, the person is properly equipped. Maybe, and then we're talking experienced people here. Maybe that's very telling of their experience level. Maybe they want to get into it, and their way of getting into it is by bringing you along so you can show them how to do it. You just got to kind of play that one by ear. All the same principles above, but then again, with an experienced camper, you don't have to do all the work for them. They may actually be insulted if you do the work for them and expect them. They may want to go off and, do their activities at camp by themselves because that's what they enjoy doing. So you know what? Just let them do that. It works both ways, right? So that's really it for the experienced camper. Like I said, there's not a lot of points for them because all the other points pretty much apply to the same thing. So the last point I'm going to make, try to sum this video up before the 15-minute mark, is winter camping. All right. Now, winter camping is a unique breed within themselves. Winter camping is not a time to introduce a new camper. All right. Someone, especially a novice, it's not the time to introduce one of them because there's a unique set of skills that are required, a lot of unique kit that's required, and the danger's real. If you invite one of them someone camping, you are automatically becoming, they're responsible for them. So pick and choose wisely. I'll say that. But if you have to, or if you want to, and bring somebody along for winter camping who's new, a couple of points that I can give, a little bit of advice. Be 100% dialed in with your kit. That means make sure you have everything. Everything is serviceable. There's no want. Make sure you have a plan for firewood. Make sure you have a plan for water, and make sure you have an escape plan if anything fails. Those are you can't scrimp on those, right? Those are the basics, especially if you're looking after someone who may or may not have done it as many times or ever as you. Be prepared to provide the equipment. All right. If you're inviting them, they're obviously not going to have a sleeping bag down to -40. They're not going to have all the fancy kit. They're not going to have a sled or a toboggan or a pulk to pull their kid in. They're not. So you're going to have to be prepared to provide this stuff. Again, back to the original one, to make it comfortable for them and give them the most positive experience that they can, especially at -25. Another good tip for winter camping, especially introducing new people, don't go far. Don't go 10 kilometers back into the backcountry and where you have to pull and snowshoe in. All right. Most provincial and national parks will offer free winter camping or cheap winter camping. And they usually have one road and one area plowed at all time. And now it's unsupervised. But at least in a provincial park and in a campground, you can just jump. Your car will be right on site. You can jump in your car if you're freezing to death, or you can just rapidly throw everything in the trunk and take off. Also, the last point, a good point for winter camping, is if you're the one inviting somebody along, or you have a trip planned or whatever, and they're coming along, and you find the weather too inclement for you, So, rainy, snowy, whatever, don't be afraid to scrub it right off the hop. Don't even second guess yourself. Just, yep, all right, I'm going to wait for another time and reschedule, right? Don't try to stick it out and say, well, you know what? Just because it's going to be minus 25 and blizzard-like conditions with 40-kilometer gusting winds, we can still go out and camp. Don't do that. Don't overestimate your skills, because you may be able to do it, but the other person may not. And the last thing you want to do is have to take care of someone who's hypothermic or has frostbite. All right, guys. So I'm about, coming up on the 16-minute mark. It's a little bit longer than I like, but that's all right. Those are my thoughts on new campers. Remember, these are all my personal thoughts. It's not to dissuade anyone. The biggest thing is give them a positive experience the first time, and they'll keep coming back over and over and over. It's just like selling drugs. So, thank you again. I picked up some new subscribers. Awesome. I'm going to try to keep up my release schedule of 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Check out my Duck Mountain playlist if you haven't already. Like and subscribe. And thank you, and we will see you again next time. Cheers.